Okay, go. Morning, everybody. Is this working? Let's see. We have a little bit of technical difficulty happening with a little crazy Stella happening in a moment. But we're getting ready to watch The Creeps. Thank you guys for coming on my birthday here. Just trying to get everything. Is the audio working? Can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody hear all right? All right. I'm going to wait a little while. So how's everybody doing this morning? How's everybody enjoying quarantine? I guess. Sorry, I'm still getting everything situated. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So today we're celebrating, obviously, today's my birthday. And this is where I'm at home here, as most likely everybody else is probably at home as well. So I figured we'll watch a movie together, and in the spirit of how bad can it be, I figured we'll watch something kind of bad. Figured that we should watch something a little bit classic, so we're going to watch The Creeps. I guess keeping in mind with having Ginger Dead Man as part of the How Bad Could It Be series, I figured that Full Moon is open season, and the best part is it is completely free to watch the full movie on YouTube. So Stella's going to hang out with us for a minute and then probably go hang out in her room and play, because she's not going to want to watch The Creeps. I don't think so. So the Dark Void is taking a break today. So we're actually in the normal house. The Dark Void is down the hall. If you go down the hall here, there's a small door. It's kind of like being John Malkovich. I have to open up the door and crawl in to the void. And then I have my setup in there. So right now I'm just sitting at a computer desk instead of the Dark Void to watch this movie with everybody. So I'm kind of killing a little bit of time to start watching the movies. If you guys do want, if you go on YouTube, I don't know how you're watching. I have I guess you can see it in the mirror here. I have a dual screen setup. So I'm going to have The Creeps set up over here to watch. And if you guys want, if you have YouTube on a TV or on your phone or whatever, if you go to YouTube and type in The Creeps full movie, it's the first thing that pops up. The Creeps it's from the God, I think it's like mid 90s. I want to say it's from. I know I watched it a long time ago. I watched it when I was in college. I think so. No, I guess I was out of college. I guess I can look it up. But I definitely saw this movie a very long time ago, and I don't think I've seen it since. But it is a lot of fun. It's a very bad movie, although if you haven't seen it before, it's basically about little people versions of famous monsters, and the amazing Phil Fondacaro is in it, who's in quite a few other great movies. Stella, come on, you want to come over here and say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? There's people. You want to say hi to people? Come say hi to people. Come here. Come here, Stella. Okay, she's apparently just running around like a crazy person. But in the meantime, as we're letting more people come into the show here to watch the movie, I'll give you a sneak preview because we do have a lot more How Bad Could It Be coming up for you guys in the next couple of weeks here. There's going to be some really, really bad stuff. I got to tell you guys that some of the suggestions I've been getting to do for How Bad Can It Be are not bad enough. I can't begin to describe how terrible some of the things that we're going to be watching in these next couple of weeks are. they're pretty bad. So in the meantime, let's take a look. Somebody asked me how old I am today. I don't think I want to say so, but I'm pretty freaking old. Old enough to have seen a lot of the movies that we're talking about, like in the theaters and the classic films. But yeah, so we're gonna be watching some terrible stuff in the future. Maybe I'll give you some sneak previews. This Friday, I will tell you, I'll give you a sneak preview that there is a video that is going up on Friday. I will tell you that the movie that's going up on Friday is kind of a fake out. I'll tell you that right now. That when you see the title, you're gonna go like, oh, and then you're gonna watch the video, and I will tell you that it's not necessarily going to be what you think it is going to be. We are doing some other movies in the next couple of weeks that are considered to be some of the worst movies of all time that I will be covering, and their little franchises as well. And I guarantee you that there's a couple of series that are coming out that you haven't heard of, probably. There's one that I had never heard of. And it was something that I stumbled upon and discovered that there were 3 of them. So I said, all right, well, let's do this. What that movie will be, I guess you have to wait for about another week or 2 to find out. But yeah, I'm going to be working on this at least 2 video a week format for a couple more weeks. I know that this week you got obviously a video on Monday. There's going to be a video on Friday. Next week you're getting 2 videos, one on Monday and Friday again. I may try and do another one of these watch parties as well too, if you guys enjoy this one, if this is fun. So we'll see what's going to go up there. So in the meantime, if you guys are ready to go, what we can do is, again, if you've got a TV, a phone, a tablet, or an alternate screen, or you can just do a split screen on your computer. We're gonna watch. We're gonna get watching The Creeps in about 5 minutes here, just to get that going. And the first time, I'll take a look at I'll take a couple of questions. And yes, I was old enough when Betty White was born. Me and Betty used to hang out in middle school. It was kind of fun. So yeah, yes, worse than Amityville. I think I found movies that are worse than Amityville. I think I found movies that are worse than Camp Blood. I think I found quite possibly the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, there's some really bad stuff coming up. But there's actually some good stuff coming up too, because I will tell you that in some of these How Bad Can It Be's, the movies that I've watched have ended up being a lot of fun. Because again, there are those movies that are so bad they're good, and there's quite a few of those, and some of these we're going to be checking out then. What do I think of Lair the White Worm? I have not seen that movie for a long time, but I do remember really enjoying it and thinking it was a really cool, fun, trippy movie that I enjoyed. So I did like that as well. Somebody asked if this is my full-time job, and no. I make so little money from this that there's no possible way to make it my full-time job. It is my full-time job at the moment, considering that, like probably a lot of people out there, I am currently unemployed due to the COVID-19. I have a job that I can go back to when it reopens, but in my real world life, I do manage a store, and that's my regular gig. Yes, it does get worse than Dark Harvest 2. Dark Harvest 2 was probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life, but I think I found worse. I might have to do like a video at the ending of all this to compile which were the worst ones that I've seen. But I'm pretty sure that one of the upcoming videos that's going to be in about 2 weeks is going to be there. Somebody asked, is it worse than Troll 2? You're going to find out my opinion on Troll 2 in the near future. How about that for a teaser? Uncle Pete, I got you beat. So Fadi asked about, can you review the new Ghostbusters movie? I will be talking about Ghostbusters. Let me just tell you my Ghostbusters thing for a moment here, because I had an opportunity to shoot at a really cool location for a Ghostbusters video. but I had always intended to release it with the new Ghostbusters video. So I've actually filmed my Ghostbusters video already. It's already filmed. I haven't edited it or anything yet, but it's completely shot, written. I've watched the movies and everything. I have to do some updates on it because some new things have been released about the new video that they've kind of changed a couple of things about my video. So I'm going to have some updates on it. But what's a bummer is I was supposed to go out in like a month or two when the new one came out, but now it's actually delayed until next year. So by the time that video gets posted, I will have shot it close to 2 years prior. Robert asked if the store I work at is the store I filmed the one short in, and that is a store I used to manage. I filmed that short film. If you haven't watched, I have a short film on my channel called Returns and Exchanges that I shot at a store up at Universal Studios that I used to run. I have not worked at that store for a few years. But that was actually a pretty cool place to work, and they were pretty cool with me shooting that. And my old boss watched the video and really enjoyed it, so that was pretty cool. I would be like the I would probably shoot something. I haven't shot anything in my new place of employment yet, but I probably should. It's actually a really cool location, so I would do that. So Thinking Film asks, what's my favorite movie of all time? That's pretty easy. You can't see the poster up there. But wait, I've got this right here. My favorite movie of all time. Oh, Jaws. This is, I think it's the best movie ever made. It's my favorite movie of all time. I love it very, very much. Somebody actually mentioned Velocipaster, which I just watched about 3 days ago, and I adored it. If you haven't seen Velocipaster, I recommend it very highly. It was an insane amount of fun. Movie Timeline's wife loved it as much. Did you not enjoy Velocipaster?
I did enjoy it.
All right, so it was actually pretty good. Somebody said, how can we see your movie? It's on my page. If you go to the Movie Timelines page, if you type in, if you search returns, I think it shows up on there. I have several movies that are on my channel that are movies that I made. A couple of them are shorts. I made a short called Hindsight 2020. I made a short called Returns and Exchanges that are up there. And I made a full-length feature film called The Complex, which if you look in the mirror, I've got the poster above my computer there. But, you know, I enjoy them. They're obviously all very, very low budget. I shot most of them for very, very little amount of money. Pete asked about Tammy and the T-Rex, which I've seen the original one. I have not seen the new gore cut of it yet. I do want to watch that pretty soon because it looks pretty good. So somebody asked about a Hostel movie timeline. Yes, there will be one sometime in the future. It's on my list. I don't have it scheduled quite yet, but I'm definitely going to get to that one. So. Rob Zombie asks, do you think you would do a T-shirt with "It's in the title"? Yeah, I've actually been thinking about doing some other T-shirts as well too, just for the hell of it. Kind of just for me because I kind of like wearing them. They're kind of fun. So I'm going to be doing a couple of them. There's one I want to do that's Amityville themed. I do want to do one of the ones that's a couple of the phrases in there. So I will happen to have one with "It's in the title." I want to have one. I think that on the back says, "I watched a guy watch all the Amityville films." I don't know. We'll see. Oh, yeah. Somebody mentioned Asian Girl in Schoolgirl Outfit. I guess I should explain that. There is a video on my channel called Asian Girl in Schoolgirl Outfit, which was a part of series of skits that I did with a bunch of guys way back, probably around the year 2000, maybe like 2001, 2002, somewhere there. And one of them was a joke skit that we did where we had the idea that if we ever actually shot a movie just called Asian Girl in Schoolgirl Outfit, and it was literally 1.5 hours of just a guy, just an Asian girl in a schoolgirl outfit, just dancing around for an hour and a half, we think we could make a lot of money just from that. So that's that skit. But there's a couple other skits. There's like a zombie marathon that's from that series of skits that we did. So, So which one was the hardest one to get through? What movie series was the hardest to get through minus Amityville? Um, Probably Camp Blood. Camp Blood was the hardest to get through, just in terms of the quality of the films. It was just, I mean, it's the same movie over and over again, and just each one really didn't have much talent behind it. One of the other ones that was hard to get through, that was a pretty big disappointment for me because you should have seen it by now, and it was hard to get through just for the length, was the Bond movies. There was supposed to be a Bond timeline up to coincide with the release of the new movie. So just know that come Thanksgiving, when the new Bond movie finally gets released, um, we're going to you're going to see a Bond movie. Robert asked about any insight into how these really bad movies get made. Are they tax schemes or losing money on purpose, like the producers? Some of them are. I know some of them are like sort of like a little bit of money laundering things, but a lot of the low budget movies they're made with very, very little budgets, and a lot of them are made by independent financiers. My wife actually works in the not anymore. She's in the union now, but she for quite a while she worked on the independent film world in the low budget aspect of things, and a lot of these movies are made for um, a lot of the movies that you see that are out there, the low budget horror movies, some of them are made for like less than $100,000, which in the film world is super, super low budget. Um, she worked on one action movie that was like had a budget of $75,000, and it had Tony Todd in it. It had Keith David in it, so it had name actors in it. But it was pretty expensive to make. So I think a lot of them are, they find a lot of independent financiers out there. Some of them are just bankrolled from previous movies that they've made. So there's a lot of different things out there. Someone asked to do trauma films, Class of Nukem High and Toxic Avenger. Toxic Avenger, I already did Toxic Avenger. It's in the superhero timelines. I figured he was a superhero. And then Class of Nukem High, I had intended to do around the time that they released Class of Nukem High, Return to Class of Nukem High Part 2, which was I thought was supposed to be out already, but it hasn't been out. Where do they get that money? They really think that they'll be profitable. Some of them are. I mean, believe it or not, it's with the investments that some of them take, especially with these Camp Blood movies that cost like. I guarantee you the Camp Blood movies cost less than $5,000 to make. And making $5,000 on a movie once you get distribution, I mean, if you can get your movie distributed, so a lot of these distributors will give you checks out that are similar to that. I mean, even if you could sell it off for like $10,000, you've made a profit. You've doubled your profit on a movie. So it's not a lot of money, but I mean, it's for the amount of time. Again, that's why a lot of them crank these movies out in such large numbers. Okay, let's see. I guess we should get to watching our movie here. So let's get going. Let's watch the movies, and we can still chit chat. I'm sure I'll be talking during the movie as well. So if you want to, let's get our movie keyed up. I've got it over here on the phases. If you guys ready, let's see. All right, so I now have up on my screen. If you guys have it up on your screen, we're going to get ready. We're going to start watching the movie. Let's click it, and here we go. The Creeps. It's from Full Moon. I think I've seen this movie like once or twice before in my life, but I know I've seen it once. I feel like I've watched it before. Somebody asked about stage fright on horror many timelines. But I think stage fright is it's one movie. I know there's two different movies with the title Stage Fright, but I don't think it's a remake. I think it's just a separate movie that has the same title. Uncle Pete asked if I would do another top 10 obscure horror movies. I have actually something planned in the future. I don't know if it's in the near future or not, but it is. I'm doing 10 obscure horror comedies. That's one of the other lists that I have. I have a couple other list videos coming up in the near future too. One of them is kind of like the Friday the 13th ripoff one that I did not that long ago. I'm going to do one on the Texas Chainsaw ripoffs coming up in the future there. Going back to this other question here, there was a question a little bit ago about any movies that I abandoned just because they're too bad, and couldn't get through it. And no, I've stuck through. I think the only movie I stopped watching but actually went back to watch it was the Day of the Dead 2 Contagion, but I did end up finishing it. But overall, I think I could pretty much sit through anything. All right, we got some of this full moon production value. Make this full screen.
In fact, we prefer that no one even look at our books and documents.
Of course.
Most of our possessions are unique and irreplaceable. Now, we processed your...
Someone asked what the time code. We're at 2 minutes and 5 seconds right now. If you're there.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know who Phil Fondacaro is, he's fantastic. He's actually the troll in the original Troll movie, and he's actually in that movie. He's in Ghoulies 2 as well, and he's so good in that movie. He's in Bordello of Blood. I think he was in Land of the Dead. He's a little person, and he's probably as fine of an actor as Peter Dinklage is, in my opinion. He's really, really good.
Well, everything seems to be shipshape. Now, you do understand you'll have to be gloved and masked before you can handle the Shelley manuscript.
You can tell it's a library because they have a hand-printed sign there. That the production value of that was very, 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 very expensive. Oh, I just got a question about watching Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and yes, I've watched it way too many times. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Put these on.
If you guys haven't watched Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, it's hilarious. It's all on YouTube too. You can watch the entire series on YouTube.
Okay. Oh, no! Don't touch the gloves to the face. Skin oil.
Sorry.
Let me do it here.
Oh, look at that! So this is very, very timely. He's wearing gloves and a mask. That's. I guess back then this would have been weird to do, but now that's my grocery shopping outfit.
Okay. There we go. All right, you just relax, and I'll be right back.
Somebody asked what other movie genres I do, and if you guys don't know, I do sci-fi timelines. There's action timelines, comedy timelines, superhero timelines. Some of them are less populated than others. I think I only have a couple of comedy timelines.
So this is it, huh?
This is it. In her own handwriting.
Oh, it must be quite a privilege to have access to works such as this.
I wouldn't know. The librarians and the rare books.
Oh, Peter asked about another music video.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Maybe in the near future. I don't know. The song things they take a lot of time. If you're just joining or if you've lost track, we're at the 5-minute mark of the movie right now. He just found the original version of Frankenstein. I'm not quite sure that in the original version of Frankenstein they would have embossed covers, but this guy happened to have found a really good copy.
Quarles,
Oh, Miss Christina.
I heard that someone's reading the Shelley manuscript.
Oh, yes. Mr. Jameson from the University of Chicago.
I don't care if he's from the Vatican. Point. Now is it?
Isn't it? Well, I mean, he followed all the procedures. He had all.
I kind of always want to doubt that like really rare manuscripts are just like in a random library.
Well,
but
I'm sorry, Miss Christina.
I don't really think there's that many people trying to steal it. So I guess it could be accurate. I don't know.
You knew. And you're obviously.
I took a look at the cast list of this movie as well too to see if like anybody was in any
But
other
your
things.
delightfulness is hardly the point. No.
And I don't know. There's a certain amount of
Apparently not.
sadness that I have when I find a particularly crappy movie and look at the cast list, and it shows that the thing that they're most well known for is that. And most of the people in this movie are most known for being in this movie,
Patricia set you free?
which I don't know. I mean, I always feel a little bit of sadness about, but I mean, hey, they were in a movie, so that alone, and we're watching it, so I guess I can't be mad at them about that.
So, let's get with the program, shall we? The reason we have such Byzantine qualifying procedures is to keep.
Somebody asked if this means a full moon is losing money as we're not paying to watch. No, this actually is up. They actually posted this one on here. So the full moon, the full movie is up here. Although if you do want to support Full Moon, you can. They actually have a pretty cool streaming service that you can log on to and watch all of their movies.
And this could have a negative impact on future requests.
Oh, well, that's all right, really. And I'm sorry, of course, but I have what I need, so thank you, and sorry, goodbye, nice to have met you.
I guess nobody felt the need to check his bags.
And this will give us grounds to refuse him on future applications.
Mark Davies asked if I'll be doing a Bill and Ted comedy timeline closer to that release, and
you have to be creative about these things. Now,
I love
let's
Bill and
put her
Ted.
back in the stacks, where she'll be nice and comfy. Of course. Quarles.
Someone asked what's my favorite franchise that you've covered so far.
At the Barnes and Noble this evening. I thought if you were free, maybe we could.
Well,
Cheese and wine.
Do you mean the movies that I've liked the most, or do you mean that like the video that was the most fun to make?
I need to do something.
Oh, well, fine. Very good then, Quarles. Good. Not a problem. I'll see you tomorrow, and don't forget to finish transcribing the histories of the New Orleans.
That all sounds like things you would do in a library. In the meantime, while this scene's going on, I want to thank you guys for coming and doing this with me. This is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing to do on my birthday. So thank you very much for doing that. I was just asked if I've covered the House on Haunted Hill movies, and I haven't yet. I do want to do those because I especially love the first one. I remember not really caring for the second one at all, but the first one was good, and the original was good.
I'm gonna go to hell for this.
See, now she's got the gloves on, but she's not putting on the mask. But she needs her glasses. We're about the, if you're just clicking in, we're at about the 9 minutes and 50 seconds mark of the movie.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
The book was stolen. Oh. All right. Oh, look, they've got a poster up for Jackie Chan's First Strike, which I saw in the theater. So it's,
Excuse me.
I kind of miss going into video stores.
I'm looking for
What address?
927 Central.
Oh, just a sec. Sheila, is this 927? Yeah. It's 927.
Yes, I know, but I'm looking for
Who are you looking for?
right. I'm looking for a David
Um,
Raleigh.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if you guys remember going into video
Yes,
store.
I
There was
see.
something kind of fun about
I
just
think it's
going in and
supposed
looking
to
at all the
be,
titles and just browsing
looking
through
for
and just
David
flipping
Raleigh,
through and
who's a
trying to find like all the
well,
fun
Yes.
and
It'd be so
seeing
cool.
titles that you've
So
never
what is it? What's the case?
heard of before and just checking it out. I mean, that's
Well,
uh, brief story here. I mean, when I was a lot younger, I remember going in and just randomly picking up
Right back through here. Okay, thanks.
this
No.
little movie called
Laser
Bad
set.
Taste, and
Right.
it was in the new releases. And it was Peter Jackson's first movie, and I was a Peter Jackson fan since way back. Just because of that, just because of stumbling across that,
No, they're
because
all
the cover
uncut,
was funny.
Completely uncut. Directors approved editions. Right. Oh, come on. Of course they're letterbox. Larry, how long have I been working with you? Yeah.
Oh, somebody asked about the Maniac Cop. I will be doing a Maniac Cop
Yeah. Right.
video. I'll probably do that around the time that they. I don't know if you guys know, but they're actually planning on doing a Netflix series of Maniac Cop.
Hi.
That's kind of interesting concept, though. I will be checking that out. Rob Zombie's asked a couple times about any chance of the MCU. I'll be addressing that in a couple days, sort of. You'll see.
Great. Just stay right there. Just hold on. Sheila, no interruptions, okay? Have a seat, please. Please.
Yes, VHS covers were like. They were such a source of disappointment sometimes because you would have what looked to be this amazing cover. Like if you Google the 3 on a meat hook cover, it looks like an amazing movie, but then when you actually watch the movie, it's not that amazing.
Well, cheap is an itch, right? I guess you just kind of figured
Yeah,
out.
that guy's like sort of a discount Paul Rudd there. Actually, it kind of looks like a cross between Paul Rudd and the guy from Animal House.
No problemo. That's for my rich clients when I get them, you know. So, Miss
Quarles.
Miss Quarles. Why don't you tell me all about it?
So a couple of you guys have talked about working in video stores. You know, when you guys worked at a video store, you had a big back office like this, right? This was what your back office looked like, didn't it? It was like that huge,
An imposter.
with posters of guns up on the wall. Isn't that's important for every video store as well, too?
This manuscript is priceless, Mr. Raleigh. It's Mary Shelley's original draft of Frankenstein, written in her own handwriting.
Why do people put strings? Like, what's the purpose of putting strings on a fan like that? Like, why did anybody have that on?
So have you told anybody about this?
Like, what was the purpose of that on the fan?
I'd be out of a career.
You mind if I keep this?
Yes, go ahead. Mr. Raleigh, can I ask you a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
Suppose you manage to find this person.
There will be monsters in this movie eventually.
Don't worry about that. Now, we have ways of making people cooperate.
Such as what?
Well, I'll just kind of lean on it, you know. What?
You'll lean on him?
Oh, what? Yeah. Like I can lean on anybody?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you'll come crashing down on him like a...
Robert, we're at the 14 minutes and 30 seconds.
I'm having witty repartee with a beautiful blonde.
Oh, my God. I haven't even finished paying off my student loans yet. My whole professional career is going to be over. Look, you got my card. Call me if by some bizarre twist of fate you manage to find something out.
Oh, don't worry about it, Miss Rosa. I won't disappoint you.
Well, given my expectations, I doubt that you could.
That's great.
Sweet Jesus.
I have a question about doing anthology horror movies. I've done a couple, like I did the Creepshow movies, but I want to do VHS. I don't know if that'll totally work in terms of the continuity aspect of things, but I'll probably do it.
Is the store closed?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Trying to get some fingerprints.
Yeah. What's the fish tank?
Somebody asked about Final Fantasy VII. I'm not a big video game guy. I used to be when I was younger, but sadly I don't. I wish that I had more time for it. I would love to. Be more. Oh, look, 1994 income tax. We have a date for this movie. So if we were the movie timelines there, we're somebody's looking at a 1994 tax return. That would probably be our. We're in 94. So there you go. There's a little insight on what I have to look for. Plus, there's
There's a good one, right?
Normally what I would do is I'd pause on the screen like that and just look to see if there's any sort of date on it whatsoever. That one did not have any date information, just told a guy's age.
And just to be nice, we're going to limit the search to.
But no, I wish I had more time for video games, but I don't. In between a full-time job, in between my full-time job, having a family and doing the work for this channel, I don't really have any. I barely have time to watch movies outside of things for. Oh, that's in Hollywood. There's something happening. I barely have time to watch movies outside of movies for the channel, so I'm kind of behind on a lot of regular channels I would enjoy.
Oh, this is nice. Real nice.
I haven't seen, if you can believe it or not, I haven't seen Midsummer yet. I'm behind on a lot of things. Oh, look, another date there. The guy was arrested in 1994.
Who is he?
Looks like we got our date.
Dr. Winston Berber. He was arrested once about 6 years ago for stealing computer components from a lab in Bel Air.
Oh, actually, that's kind of confusing. He was arrested 6 years ago. I guess that was 1994.
Most of them were either in jail.
So this is set in 2000?
Likely because he has
That doesn't make any sense.
a wazoo. You know, the kind of guy that would be interested in stealing first editions.
Where is he?
That I don't know yet. I just wanted to make sure he was the right guy. Now that I know who he is, finding him should be a breeze.
This is incredible. I mean,
Somebody asked about what I would do.
I guess I owe you an apology.
Animation like Pixar. I've actually thought about doing like a Pixar one because because of the pizza truck. I feel like they are all connected. So there's definitely a argument to be made there. Although that's a creepy world. I mean, all the toys are alive, the bugs are alive. I mean, everything's alive. There's people with superpowers, people in your head. The Pixar world's kind of scary. Okay, I think we're finally getting to the point where there's going to be monsters in this movie. We are 18 minutes and 25 seconds into the movie, and there's not yet been a single monster in it, which is a hallmark of full moon movies, is to stall the action as much as possible.
Shelley's Frankenstein.
All right, so here's our important plot point: is that he's got the books of Dracula and Frankenstein, and I guess he's also getting the Wolfman book, which I don't think that there was a Wolfman book, and a Mummy book, which I don't know if there was a Mummy book. But oh, look, they're advertising The Crow, City of Angels. What a great movie!
From you in 2 weeks. What's going on?
Hey, lady, wait your turn.
I'm not checking out a videotape.
Relax. Jeez, I'm working on it here.
You're working on it.
Yeah, I found out all kinds of stuff about this Berber guy. Like he's got a PhD in physics, another one in mathematics.
I do kind of like that, when she's looking for help to find a stolen object, forget the police. I guess we need to have, the video store clerk helping out.
Actually, no. The probation department had an address on him, but that was 6 years old.
Like, why hasn't she gone to the police? This guy stole like a rare manuscript. Like, wouldn't the police be better?
Don't call me honey.
Right, sorry, famous fools.
Come on, honey, move out of the way. You got a portrait of a lady.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank God, my wife is out of luck. Give me the bag, Lieutenant, and see if you have head of the family, please.
Right.
I'll get it.
Thanks.
Well,
Of course, this guy's renting head of the family because he looks like, doesn't he look like a regular Full Moon fan? Would be excited about Full Moon Productions.
I my hands on a copy of the waybill when the computer went down.
well, can't you just go down and get a copy in person?
Oh no, it's not the same computer I used for detecting. I mean this computer. Now we've had to do all the check-ins and check-outs on these pain-in-the-ass index cards. I got a guy coming tomorrow to fix it, so I should be able to devote some more
You want to
time.
know something? You're fired. Do you understand? You are fired.
How about the bridges of Madison County?
Sorry, it's.
Oh, great, then can I have a Wild at Heart? And is Hideous available yet?
Could you just wait a second?
He wants Wild at Heart and Hideous. There you go.
No, I have an emergency situation and you're not dealing with it. You know, it's true what they say. You get what you pay for. Now, I'm going to do what I should have done in the first place and get a real detective out of the Yellow Pages.
Come on, Miss Quartz. Just I promise. As soon as I can.
Your tape messed up my VCR. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, that guy, as somebody in the retail world, that guy's not that far off from a good portion of customers that we have occasionally. I'm thankful in the retail world that I don't have that many people like that, but I've been there.
Yeah, yes, hi. I don't know if you remember me, but here I have this request, and I think all necessary. But see, I'm
You know, the funny thing is I don't know if you guys remember the golden age of
oldest extant copy
Full Moon, when you used to go rent them, and they would have the little video zones at the ending, and watching those was almost just as much fun as watching the movie themselves.
Too busy. I could just.
But yeah, I mean,
leave this and
Full Moon movies used to be. They were crappy, but they were just so much fun to watch. Like, I mean, whatever they put out, I was there.
Jail.
I don't know what.
Jail. 10 to 15 years. Homosexual gang rape. Convict found hanging
Wait, what?
in his cell. Where's the Shelley?
I am sorry. I don't know.
Where is the Shelley, huh?
She just threatened him with going to jail and having homosexual gang rape.
I mean,
That's
I don't know what you mean.
and now she's got scissors up. I mean, she could call the police.
I'll do anything. I can't explain. It's a mental condition.
I want that manuscript back.
Oh, fine. I'll just go and get it.
Do not move.
I'll go get it and.
Freeze, book thief!
This is the best scene in the movie so far. So this is intense. I don't even know how to describe
I'm gonna make a call to
the
somebody,
feelings.
and then the three of us are gonna go and get back that manuscript. And God help you if you destroyed it.
The plot, if you're just joining, is literally so far that this guy is stealing books to
Rolly, please.
something.
Just a sec. David.
We at this point of the movie we do not know.
Hey, Big Dave on the line. What can I do you for?
Yes, Big Dave. This is client Anna. Never mind, I've got the guy.
I'm sorry.
And so, and again, she's calling the video store guy instead of the police,
I don't
which
think
you
that's
know
gonna be a problem.
you would
No,
do, I
Just get
guess.
yourself here, and then the three of us will go and get back that manuscript. What?
Oh dear, there we go. Like that's what happens. You've got. I mean, was that like a cow prod kind of a thing? So now he's going to steal the rest of the books, the manuscripts, to bring back the creeps, because you know apparently at some point there's going to be creeps in this movie. You know, the funny thing is sometimes with movies, with doing the timelines, sometimes the hardest thing is trying to find things to say about some of them, because when you get a movie that's like one of those so bad it's good, there's a lot to talk about. I have a video coming up for you guys next week that there was so much to talk about.
I'm truly sorry, but
There's a mini timeline coming out on Monday that's only 2 movies, but yet the video is over 20 minutes long because there was just so much to say and so many things to make fun of. Probably the hardest thing is when a movie's actually kind of boring and there's just not a lot that happens in it. As I'm watching a movie, I usually write down a bunch of notes of things that I want to talk about, things that stand out. And sometimes I'll look at my screen and it'll be a paragraph like this long. And other times there's like 3 sentences. And I'm like, I've got nothing. That's always probably one of the hardest things to talk about.
Get me off this table, you stupid, miserable, perverted monstrosity, now!
Stop it.
Is she even like bound to anything? It's like,
Just listen. Just be quiet.
I'm always amazed when people are in straps that look like that they could literally just slide their hands out of.
No, your archaeology as an old garbage.
Like I don't really know what's holding it from just. Is those things that tight? I've never been one of those things.
Quiet. You just. This is completely and 100% your own fault. You are only yourself to blame.
We've got another guest.
So don't blame me. I happen to be exploring the boundaries of human knowledge. You're just a librarian. So
Disgusting Death says I'm talking about the troll movies. No, you're wrong.
Yes, that's right.
Because that's not a mini timeline.
You're disgusting.
Although I'm not saying that you won't see Troll at some point, but it's not a mini timeline, believe it or not.
Steal books and tie up intellectually superior women to get some sort of pitiful sexual thrill.
Intellectually superior? Excuse me. I don't want to prolong this conversation, but strident librarians don't fulfill this.
A what? What did you say?
This is Zelda. I guess she's hanging out with us for a little while.
By some chance that you're a virgin?
What? That is none of your business.
Yes, well, that's what I thought.
And what is that supposed to mean?
Well, if you were a virgin, you'd have said, of course I'm a virgin, right?
No, that's not necessarily true.
Well, then you are a virgin.
That's none of your business.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I thought.
This is a very important conversation. You know.
I can adjust the equations, although ideally it should be a naked virgin between 20 and 35 years of age, but it's all right. Excuse me.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I am sorry. I thought that someone who was so intellectually superior would know what I was doing.
Exploring the bottommost depths of a paranoid delusion?
No. I happen to have created an archetype inducer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You know, for someone who's about to be reduced to a quantum state, you're very mouthy. This machine, when I get it up and running, it has the power to transform.
You were also asked if the movie's on YouTube. Yes, it's on YouTube. So if you've got like a Roku TV or something like that that has a YouTube app, and you can search it on there. I think it's on Tubi as well too. So you can search it on Tubi TV. It's on there. And if you are just joining at a later point, we're at the 28-minute and 30-second point.
Yes, the werewolf, the mummy, Frankenstein's monster, and Dracula. I will bring them to life, and they will serve my will, and then I'll have real power. I'll have power to rule the world.
Another interesting thing I always find about mad scientist movies is there's always beakers in the background with just very distinctly colored liquids. Like you always have to have the red liquid, the blue liquid, the yellow liquid. Very important. And wait, did I miss it? How did this guy know where to go? Wasn't he meeting her at the library? Did she tell him where his hideout was? Orchid War just asked for the substitute movie timelines. I would do those just to have some Treat Williams action going on. But whenever I do an action movie timeline, it doesn't really get a lot of love. That's always one of the hardest things. The horror movie timelines and sci-fi timelines seem to get the most attention. Comedy timelines are like super hit and miss. Superhero timelines are also very hit and miss. And action timelines, they always seem to be the ones that people don't really enjoy watching. So I guess I try and stay away from them a little bit. But I do want to do some more action movie timelines. Obviously, I'm going to do Bond, which will be an action movie timeline.
Well, I got the shipping coming, no problem.
I did Sharknado. Sharknado is actually in the. If you check out a timeline I did called Shark Attack, I also talk about the Sharknado movies in there.
Tough shit, so am I. Let's go.
Okay, so this is an important plot point. The experiment was halfway done, and they stopped it. That's important. It's ridiculous. I was just asked about doing the Ring movies, and yes, I'm not sure when. Yeah, see, she can slide her hands right out of the cuffs, right? He did. She just went like that. All right, here we go. Finally, we are 31 minutes into the movie, and we now have creeps. There we go. And no lie, you're actually about to see one of the better Dracula performances. Not just because. There you go.
would be so kind as to explain all of this, my friend.
So what can I say?
Peter asked, "Why was this movie called Short Stories?"
You got your manuscript back?
You know, the funny thing is this movie was actually called. I guess it was called Deformed Monsters.
What can I say?
And I guess they changed it to the Creeps, but I think that it's some places it's still called Deformed Monsters. If it, IMDb, it's still listed as Deformed Monsters.
No.
So what about Friday night?
No.
Oh, you have a boyfriend.
No. Well, I mean, not anymore.
Yeah, I do kind of think having a movie about little people and calling them deformed monsters is a little harsh. I do think it's a little bit mean. I kind of like the title of the Creeps better.
After that, what was the point? Things just couldn't be the same.
So why didn't you take a chance with me?
Well, one, I'm smarter than you. Two, I'm older than you. Three, we have nothing in common. Sorry.
How is she older than him? They look like they're like apart.
What you are telling me, my good doctor, is that until you activated this machine of yours, I had no real existence at all.
Yes, that's right. You were based on an historical figure, but basically you're a work of fiction. You were created by a writer named Bram Stoker, and you've been portrayed on the stage and in the movies.
Movies.
That's not important, really.
And all my memories, my battles with my adversary Van Helsing.
But that's all fiction. None of it really happened. You come from a book just like them.
It seems as if I know them all from a dream.
Yes.
I mean, how great is that though? Like he like Phil Bondacaro is just like totally committed.
Tradition. No.
Like he's like, I'm not playing a goofy Dracula. I'm playing
How
Dracula.
could I fail to recognize my brothers in darkness? Who, assembled from the bodies of the dead, who walk the earth, knowing neither love nor but only the revenge against the race of man that's burned you.
Although I should kind of point out that if he was really actually based on the Dracula manuscript and not the movie, he wouldn't look anything like that.
Royal blood,
Considering that the Dracula from the movie, from the book, Frankenstein did not look like that.
alive, doomed to walk the earth forever. And you, my friend, a fighting claw, how should I, who have run with the wolves in the light of the moon, not know you? I know you all very well. But you,
So the werewolf is the smallest of the group, huh?
you,
And the
Well, what was I saying? Oh, yes, I have constructed this machine, this archetype inducer, which enables me to bring history and literature to life.
why did you choose us for this honor?
Well, you see, I thought I'd use the archetype inducer to create the.
would I ever do Harry action timelines? Yes, yeah, I would definitely do one. Same thing. I don't really do a lot of action movie timelines anymore, but I will eventually do Dirty Harry as well.
Against everyone who's ever wronged me.
I see an admirable ambition, to be sure.
Oh, hey, Tell It Animated is here to say hello, guys. Go check out his channel. I absolutely adore his channel. And if you haven't checked it out, you should go check it.
To explain why we are all this size. If memory serves, I was significantly larger when I was fictional.
Obviously, That wasn't part of the plan.
Obviously, you will need to remedy this.
Well, first we need to get this lab back into working order.
These books, these archetypal.
No, we shouldn't need the books. According to this.
And again, if you're missing out, we're at the 36-minute mark of the movie here, 36 and a half.
All up to normal size. See, we need the girl because she's part of the equation. Her for the sacrifice.
So the solution stands before us.
I'm going to take this brief moment here to tell you guys about a new thing I'm working on.
Most interesting machine
That's going to be coming out in June, hopefully.
shall find this
It might be tricky because I'm actually going to be doing a video with some other guys. It's actually a new series that I'm planning that I don't quite have a total title for yet, but we're going to be ranking horror franchises, and it's a group ranking. I know some of you guys that are in the comments here have actually given me your rankings, so you're contributing into it as well too. But we're going to be figuring out exactly which of the horror movies is the best in a franchise. The first one we'll be doing is the Friday the 13th series. So we're actually going to have a committee group of which is actually the best Friday the 13th movie. And which is the worst. Although I think y'all know that. I think y'all know the answer to that one.
Have a nice weekend, Miss Christina.
As kind of, not that I'm running out of horror movie franchises, but it's starting to kind of run out of kind of bigger name ones, and a lot of the ones I'm working on now are more niche films. So kind of working on something where I can kind of bring back into the big ones here, and I've got some industry guests coming in. I have a good friend of mine who's actually a horror movie producer, and another one is a horror movie effects artist, and they're going to be coming on board to help me with the rankings and everything. So. So the first one we do is Friday the 13th, and I know I'm going to do another one. Obviously, I'm going to do the Halloween ones as well too, for Halloween, and kind of dip into some other ones. I have some pretty odd opinions, I think, of the Friday the 13th movies, so I wanted to see like how what of mine compared to everybody else's, and it's been pretty interesting because I think at the moment there's 10 people. I think we have 10 different people that are kicking in their rankings. And actually, my wife is going to be contributing as well too. She's not. She's a horror movie fan, but not nearly as much as I am. And so we are currently watching all the Friday the 13th movies, and she's going to give her ranking of what she thinks is the best. Because I wanted to get the opinion of somebody that is not like obsessive with this. Is this girl making out with a book? Yeah, yes, she is. I'm stupefied by this at the moment. How does that even work? See, you can't do that with an ebook, right?
Hello? Who's there?
All right, so going back to what I was saying, so what we did was so everyone kind of contributed in their list. So if on your list you had, say, Friday the 13th Part 1 as your number one movie, it's 1 point, and whatever movie you had as your least favorite gets 12 points, and then I tally up all the points. Whatever movie has the lowest number of points is the best Friday the 13th movie, and then whichever one has the most amount of points will be the worst one. So we're going to rank them down from worst to best. I think she's going to get attacked by little people. Oh no, the dreaded tripwire rope.
Return to your laboratory, Doctor, and quickly.
Somebody asked who my favorite Dracula actor is. My favorite Dracula actor is probably, I guess classic wise. I love Bela Lugosi as Dracula. I think he did such a great job. I think that's would probably be my favorite. I guess. I can't think of any other one that I just immediately think of. I'm not a huge fan of the Gary Oldman Dracula movie. I thought it was pretty, but I just didn't think it was that great.
Another precious night has been wasted. Perhaps not. She is ample, full of life, full of blood. No.
That's nice.
It shall
Drool on that camera lens as much as possible.
Try this one. Prepare your machine, Doctor.
But you see, for the procedure to work, it has to be the original girl. This woman, even if we were starting from scratch, she wouldn't do. Ideally, it should be a naked.
Take the world over with these monsters because they're super powerful. Oh, I guess we have nudity on YouTube.
She just strikes out on the other two sides.
I didn't think that was technically allowed, but I guess it is. I do think it's kind of funny that he wants to take over the world with these monsters, but yet it took 3 of them to just kidnap one person.
Silence! Listen well. Death is the least terrible thing that might happen to you tonight.
See, he's so good. I'm sorry, but that's a great Dracula performance. He's taking it seriously.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
And are you a virgin? Answer, or I will compel you to answer.
How do you define virgin?
Innocent of carnal relations with men.
And here's a time code update just in case you're joining a little bit later. We're just hitting the 44-minute mark.
I suppose in a matter of speaking, I am.
Excellent. Prepare her.
But I told you it won't work unless it's the original girl. Honest.
No harm in trying.
Somebody asked earlier about those contacts. This movie doesn't have the budget for an optical effect, and this was way before CGI. Well, was prevalent in low budget movies. So those are contacts. Those are probably those full contacts you have to put in there.
You see, right here, I created you, and that makes me the master.
Very well then. Prepare the virgin for the sacrifice. Master.
All right, fine, but I'm not.
Meanwhile, I hope you guys are all holding up pretty well in this quarantine stuff. This is all pretty crazy. This is thankfully right before this all happened, my family and I moved into a slightly bigger place. So we have a little bit more room to move around in. We're still in an apartment. It's nothing too crazy, but it's made it a little bit more bearable. But sure as hell would like to just go out and about. Just go out to dinner or something. The highlight of our day is actually playing out in the back on Stella's scooter.
No, I'll do it. It's all my fault. Do it. None of your business.
Those were some actually really wait. Those are some very 90s digital effects. No, I'm no longer at the place with the pool. The pool is now off limits to me. So, although I am I'm closer to a whole lot of other stuff. So there's this new place is actually much better environment, and we can walk to more places. We're right by a school, right by a couple parks for Stella. And yeah, we've been getting out and about. I mean, I've been going for walks and jogging and everything, getting outside as much as I can, be out in the sunshine. But just trying to stay in and stay home and stay away from people.
Rest while the heated sun shines, my companions. Soon.
It's not like it's actually not terrible makeup designs either. I mean, like that's a like besides Phil Fondacaro as just being an amazing Dracula. I mean, the Frankenstein looks decent. The Mummy looks all right. The werewolf actually looks pretty damn cool. I'm not mad about their creature designs. They look enough like the classic Universal monsters, but they're different enough to kind of be their own thing, kind of like Monster Squad in a way, where you know what they are, but they're different enough to obviously avoid some copyright action.
No, I don't. That's good. That's good.
Please don't. I dislike these electrical lights. So unnatural. Better to leave it down,
Yeah.
my friend.
Who's that? Who's there?
Please tell me, where is the girl?
Jesus. I don't know what you're talking about.
Come now. Would you lie to me?
What the hell are you?
I am told most everyone knows of me. Though perhaps you imagined me somewhat taller.
Look, I don't know whether I just stumbled into some Fellini movie or something, but you better stay right where you are, little guy. I'm gonna brain you with this.
Well, my ragged friend, by all means, brain me.
I'll give you guys another insight too on something else that I'm working on. Because there's movies obviously that don't fit into my format that I've always wanted to talk about, but if they're not part of a franchise, it's kind of hard to find a way to talk into it. So, one of the things I want to work on is horror director timelines, where basically I kind of go through a specific director in their career. I know we were talking about Peter Jackson earlier, and unless you're talking about Lord of the Rings, it's really hard to talk about Peter and his contributions to horror. So I kind of wanted to talk about directors and how they started off that way. Talk about Cronenberg, talk about Carpenter, talk about Peter Jackson, Sam Raimi, and go with their contributions to the genre.
Yes, vector functions. Yes, it cancels out.
There's a question. Anybody else getting buffering shutter on his feed? Is the feed not good? Are you guys having trouble getting the feed? Is it coming through okay? I don't really do the streaming thing too often, so I have to admit this is not. I don't know a lot of this stuff, but is the video coming through all right for you guys? I wonder if it's my internet. Well, I'm sorry if I apologize. Like, I'm sorry. I wish I kind of knew if there was a way to make it better or easier. Nope. And then now I got a cat looking out.
What in the world?
If you need a time code update, we're at the 52-minute mark, where Frankenstein just came out of an elevator. Hey, what's up? Hey. I will tell you guys that in the near future for the How Bad Can It Be, we will be another bit of there will be some more full moon action happening, and there's another full moon series that has been requested quite a bit for me to do for How Bad Can It Be. So you'll be seeing that in the very near future. And I will also say that I think that some of the suggestions for the some of the suggestions people had for How Bad Can It Be have come through on the channel. A lot of the guesses have been correct, but there are two things that I'm doing that no one has suggested yet that I'm kind of curious to see people's reaction to. So I guess it was very important for her to take her shirt off right there. Mark asked about what have you been watching for non-channel related viewing. I mentioned it earlier. I just watched Velocipaster and absolutely adored it. I thought it was just a fantastic, fun movie. That's other than that, I haven't been watching a whole lot outside of the channel stuff. Watched that. I had a hankering last night. My wife and I watched. She had never seen it. We watched Kung Pao Into the Fist. I haven't seen that movie for a long time. So I figured I should rewatch it, so we did, and it was just as terrible, but yet funny in a bad way that I remembered it. Some people guessing about Killjoys, maybe. Although I Killjoy's been requested a lot. Although I think my opinion of Killjoy might be controversial, apparently. What are you doing? I will tell you one that I'm. I don't know whether or not to classify it or not, or even if it would be appropriate. Is I'm doing Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I don't know if you guys know, but it used to be considered one of the worst. I feel like people don't talk about it anymore, but it used to be considered one of the worst movies of all time. But I feel like it just doesn't get a lot of talking anymore. But there was a remake to that, which I was thinking about. Content is actually it's actually not connected in any way. Trying to work those together into some sort of video, but I just am not convinced that it's going to work. So we'll see. But I did rewatch Plan 9 from Outer Space last night, and it's a lot of fun. It is one of those, this movie's so terrible that I can't help but love it movies. And even though I have seen the remake was them attempting to make a serious movie out of it. And I know I've seen it, but I guess I'll rewatch it and see if it's any good. But it's one of those things where I don't totally know if there's enough to talk about.
I believe in the doctor is trying to tell you that he is no longer in a position to pull us off. No doubt he planned to be, but such is life.
So again, I think we've got the whole notion that these guys are supposed to be like super powerful, but they kind of can't catch two people.
One ought to speak so
What's that then?
casually done it.
If he dies, what's going to happen to you? Huh? What, are you going to go around all eternity carrying a step stool so you can bite people in the neck?
You make an interesting point, but not a compelling one. We need a girl in order to achieve full size. Are you prepared
You pause on those screens. It actually showed some dates, and it looks like it. I think it's supposed to take place in 1994, but they kind of goofed up with it. I think they may have goofed up with a piece of paper, and I think it's supposed to be set in the year 2000, maybe, just because of an error that they made on paperwork. But watching it in this way, normally when I would watch this, I have my pause button ready to go. And it's usually a lot better to watch it. I usually try to find a 1080p version of the movie to watch in order to do this, because sometimes the stuff in the background is so difficult to see. I know somebody commented on my Dark Harvest timeline because in the background of those, there's a calendar hanging up on the wall, and it's just big calendar. And I tried so hard to see it, but it's just so grainy. You can't see what month it is, what year it is, nothing.
as I have use for you.
No! Get your nasty hands off of me! Stop it, quit it! Let go of my arm! You and the men, just get your filthy little hands off of me! Stop it now! Quit it!
Yeah, it's funny because movies that were set in the 1970s and 1980s, they're filmed back then. No one back then knew that there was ever. I mean, in the 70s, no one had the concept of watching movies at home. It was all going to the movie theater. In the 80s, no one had any concept of like high definition video. So a lot of those movies just didn't care what the calendars would say or what the magazines that they showed, because you couldn't see what date it was. It didn't really matter. Obviously now they pay more attention to it, but even then, it's like there's a lot of times where I don't think that there's much attention paid to what the date is, because I mean, let's face it, outside of videos like mine, which I don't, it doesn't affect me. Take for example, everything is all supposed to be in the same year, but then the one flashes up a computer program has the wrong date. I don't think that they cared, and ultimately, it doesn't affect the movie at all. It's nothing that's too damaging. But yeah, they did. They had no concept of a lot of them. In rewatching the Friday the 13th movies, it's very, very clear that just like a lot of times people just don't care about continuity whatsoever. I would love to see a Creeps 2 where they had to fight more modern versions. But I feel like obviously copyright would be very difficult in that essence. They'd have to find modern monsters that they could do while skirting any copyright issues, which would be pretty difficult.
She's not a virgin. Well, what can you do? Not my fault.
Your fault for choosing her in the first place.
Yes. Well, what can I say? Mea culpa. Look, tolerance should work.
I do not want any failure. Suppose we find another virgin and sacrifice her along with this.
No. You see, two girls on balance the term. In order for it to work, let's see.
We just hit the 1 hour and 1 minute mark here. This movie's pretty short. It's actually only another 14 minutes long. So this is pretty short. It's an hour and 14. It's pretty quick.
What?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I think you could do a Jason knockoff. I mean, how many different movies have done like Jason parodies with like a hockey mask or whichever? You could definitely do that. You could do like a bird guy with a claw hand, which could sort of be Freddy-ish, but it would just be kind of difficult to do.
And where?
I guess you could do a zombie.
Was a long time ago, you know.
I don't know if zombies are modern, but zombies feel like a modern thing because it's like I don't know when the zombie boom began, but I mean I remember a time being about upcoming zombie movies, and now it's I just don't really need to see zombie movies unless they're doing something really unique with the concept.
Don't worry, I'm working on something.
Oh, good.
Oh, you think I'm kidding? You'll see.
Now to your chambers.
Wait.
Sorry.
I kind of would like to see vampires come back a little bit. I feel like vampires have gotten pushed to the wayside. I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing sort of a revival of a vampire movie.
If it amuses me to hear her, I need no other reason.
Please, all of you, listen to me. This is wrong. You don't belong here. None of you. You're the stuff of legends.
Perhaps you are right.
It was such a great movie.
And the legends
I don't mind telling you. By the time that movie was over, my eyes were pouring.
No, you haven't.
Pouring.
None of you ever have.
I cried so hard at that freaking movie. It was
Whatever any of you remember,
crazy.
None of it ever happened.
Night of the Living Dead did start the zombie trend. Yes, Night of the Living Dead was basically the kickoff of the American zombie movie, the modern zombie movie. Zombies were around before that, but they were like Haitian voodoo zombies and not like living undead monsters.
You can crumble the dust 1,000 times.
I feel like because I grew up in Pittsburgh, I have a special love for zombie movies. I used to work in the mall that Dawn of the Dead was filmed in. My mom actually lives about 10 minutes away from the cemetery that the original Night of the Living Dead was filmed in. I've been there a bunch of times. So it's kind of cool. And I've always just had a special affinity for particularly Romero style zombie movies, but zombie movies in general. But the past like 15 years or so, I just feel like they're all the same. No one's kind of done anything different or new with them. Although when they do something different or new, it definitely stands out. Train to Busan was a great example of that, of something that still piqued my interest.
Yes, my dear doctor.
Would I ever cover the subspecies movies? Yes. I'm kind of trying to time that up. They have a new one coming out, so I was trying to time that up. And yeah, Robert, zombie movies are more action movies now. Like World War Z was more of an action movie than a zombie movie. And yeah, they've kind of lost that whole feeling. I'm kind of very nervous because the trailer for Peninsula, the sequel to Train to Busan, also it feels like felt more like an action movie to me. And what I loved the most about the first Train to Busan was the emotional aspect of it, the character parts. I just hope that doesn't get lost. Cautiously optimistic, but a little nervous.
You know, if you hold your wrist a certain way while someone's tying you, you can make it look like they're tying you tightly, when in fact they're not.
See? Just slides right out. I mean,
Push the red button. The red button.
oh yeah, I guess if we're talking about zombies, I guess we're not mentioned Walking Dead, but God, I wanted to love that show and I just did not. I stopped watching a very long time ago. I will say that I've not watched Walking Dead for probably, I think I watched the first 2 seasons and then I was out.
We're still in trouble.
I've watched bits here and there, but
What happened to him?
just lost it.
To Miss Christina?
Who can say? A trick of the doctor's machine somehow transformed her into what is the word?
An archetype?
Yes, and as a thing of legend, she is now returned to the place of legend. And as for the good doctor,
I suppose he belongs in there too. Mad scientist.
perhaps.
So I guess the
What?
creatures are
What now?
the creeps are good now.
Now, you obey my final command. Press, once again, the red button. You are very wise. For someone who has not yet lived a single lifetime. We shall return to our own wells. To the lands that never die.
His performance is still just I think it's great. And there they go. There goes the creeps.
Fear. We will always be with you. In your nightmares.
That was brilliant. He's actually one of the guys I would always love to have met, but I have not yet. I haven't met him yet.
Tomorrow 2, The Killers and The Killer Angels. Right. Oh, I forgot to tell you, they're all in original Cantonese with Japanese subtitles. No English. Well, what do you want, some cropped dub thing, or do you want the original director's intention, complete with all the gore? You better believe it.
Well, it looks like the movie's wrapping up.
Larry, I gotta go. Right, yeah. I'll give you a call back. Yeah, all right.
See, they found romance. I guess she's not going to be a virgin for much longer.
I just wanted you to know that Berber's lab is gone.
Burned down?
No. It turns out he owed $1 million on it, and his creditors
Was Phil in one of the Critters movies? I don't know. He was in. Oh, he's a Ghoulies. He was in Ghoulies too. The one in the Carnival. Phil Fondacaro was. Oh God, I'm mad. I can't remember his name.
I guess I owe you this.
But yeah, he was one of the characters in Ghoulies too, which is my personal favorite Ghoulies movie. I love that one.
Thanks.
Oh, am I doing the Brotherhood for how bad can it be? No, because believe it or not, the Brotherhood is on the list of things that I was thinking about, but I consider it to be actually better than what I wanted to do. It's pretty bad, but trust me, the things I'm doing are worse. They're worse.
Venus and Furs.
Oh, wow.
Leopold von Sacher-Masoch.
Yeah, that's great.
Have you ever read it?
No, actually, but I saw the movie. 1970, directed by Jess Franco, starring Kwasinski.
Phil Fondacaro in Troll could have been Sonic. Yes.
You know, the guy
That is actually a more accurate Sonic than that original trailer
the
was.
guy who financed it, okay? He broke up with a leading lady, so he would throw it in the lake.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the original Troll movie as well, too, Phil Fondacaro plays two parts in that. He plays the troll, and he actually also plays Malcolm, the character from who just lives in the apartment building. So he plays both parts, and he's just really good. I've always been a fan. So there we go. There's the creeps. I hope you guys enjoyed that. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a pretty bad movie. It's not horrible. It's saved a little bit by the creatures. But overall, that's about it. And we'll kick it off there. So hey, thank you guys for coming out to watch this with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming out and watching it. Maybe we'll do this again in the quarantine if you guys want. We'll watch something else. Just kind of hang out, and I'll answer whatever questions you guys got. But I'm really glad you guys come out and help me celebrate my birthday. And now I'm gonna go outside and play with Stella and ride around on a scooter. But and then maybe I'll go watch some more crappy horror movies because that's what you should do on your birthday, right? So. Again, thank you for coming out for my birthday. There's a video coming up for you guys on Friday and another one on Monday. I think you'll love it. I'll let you know what the one on Monday is. The one on Monday is Birdemic. So hope you enjoy, and we'll see you guys. See you guys really soon. Thanks, guys. Bye. How do I turn this off? Right here.